everybody, Sabrina here. I am here today to talk to you about this dress right here. This is a vintage wrap dress from 1973. It is a Simplicity pattern 6099. I am here with the finished garment to talk to you a little bit about this dress before I show you the process of how I made it. So when I first made this dress, I didn't have to make any changes to the pattern because the pattern was exactly my size, 34-inch bust. And so fortunately, I didn't need to make any adjustments and I was able to just make it exactly as the pattern described. Now, I wanted to kind of challenge myself and do something that I have been thinking about learning for a long time, and I wanted to practice grading a pattern. So when I finished this dress and had shown it to my best friend, she immediately expressed interest in it and wanted me to make one for her. Well, I think she might have been joking when she asked if I was going to make her one, but I wanted to go ahead and learn a new skill. So I figured that I would put my grading abilities to the test with this dress. So I watched a few videos on ye olde YouTube, and I think I had the basic idea down for grading. It was easier than I thought it was going to be, but that's not to say that it wasn't still kind of difficult for me to wrap my head around. I watched a few different videos to get a couple different descriptions on how to do it, and I feel fairly comfortable grading. I don't think that the process was too difficult for this particular pattern. I think because the bodice pieces are fairly straightforward. The collar piece, I probably didn't have to grade, but I decided to add about a ½ inch all the way around, and that seemed to work just fine. And then the skirt was fairly easy. I just cut it as long as I could with the fabric that I had, since Taylor's quite a few inches taller than me, and then graded it out widthwise. And it all seemed to go together pretty well, so I'm hoping it fits her. I should also mention that she lives in Florida and I live in Montana, and I will have no opportunity to fit this on her at all. So I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot by making a garment for somebody who's not living in my city or state, for the very first time I've ever made a garment for anybody. But I wanted to give it a try, and if it doesn't fit, I think, it'll make a very sexy house robe. So either way, I think she's a winner. But I also want to mention that there are a couple things I haven't finished on this dress, one of which being the hem, so you can probably see the blue serging on either side of the skirt. I want to do this all in one piece, so when I go to hem the bottom, I want to turn this in and then hem all at the same time so that it kind of flows as one piece in the best way. So I haven't done that, and I have not added a closure. This pattern does not call for a closure aside from the wrap, aside from the sash, but I wanted to go ahead and add a couple snaps. So it's pinned right now, but if I take those out, you can see that there's no closure in here aside from what I'm going to put in as the snap. So I want to do one here and then one a couple inches above the knee just to keep it closed in case there's any wind. So I was waiting until I went to Florida so that I could actually try this on Taylor and sew the snaps on there. And then I was just waiting on her to give me a measurement from the top of her shoulder down to her feet, and then I was going to hem it here before I left. But now that I'm not going to Florida, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that with the snap. Honestly, at this point, I haven't decided. So what I think I'm going to do is attach the one end of the snap on the corner of this panel. And then I think I'm just going to give her a couple options. And then if she wants to wear it closed a little tighter, she can. Or if she needs it to be a little looser, then she's got a couple options. So I think that's my best bet at this point, and then I'll send it to her, and if it's that bad, I'm pretty sure she can sew a snap on. I think her talent is at that point at least. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and probably finish those in the next day or so, and then put it in the mail and get it out to her. And then I'll probably post some photos of her wearing the dress on my Instagram in the coming weeks when I actually get some photos from her. I would love to try it on for you, but it won't fit, so I won't bother taking photos of it until I get them from her. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this dress came out overall. Second time making it through, didn't take much time at all. Aside from flatlining, I did decide to flatline just about everything. At first, I was only going to do the bodice, and then I decided I was going to do the bodice and the sash, and then I decided I might as well do the skirt too. So I ended up flatlining the entire thing except for the collar, which I did on purpose. I wanted to retain its flouncy drape because I love this fabric and I think it lends really well to this collar style. It's really floaty when you wear it. It blows around and I think it's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it fits on Taylor. Hopefully she loves it. I love my dress and now we can twin from afar, but until I get to see her, I at least want her to be able to enjoy it since spring is coming up and she's in Florida and it's already hot there. So I would hate for it to sit in my sewing room waiting for something as trivial as a snap before I sent it to her. So I'll probably get this in the mail to her in the next couple days once I get the hem done and the snap. And yeah, I hope she loves it. And like I said, I'll update my Instagram with pictures as soon as I get them from her. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I may do a video later on grading if anybody's interested in how to grade up a pattern. I'm fortunate that most of the vintage patterns I own fit. I'm able to find my size, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people. So if you have any questions on grading or anything else for that matter, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, so I thought I might as well go ahead and put my version of this dress on so you can get a sort of an idea of what it looks like. So I'll go ahead and I'll give you a spin of the top so you can see that the collar goes all the way around. And it has that nice flounciness that I talked about on Taylor's dress. And here are the, where are they? Here are the butt loops I added onto mine. Right there. And then I put a little snap in right here for me, just at the point where it felt most comfortable for the dress to close at. And then I have my little sash here. And so there it is. I love this dress. I'm sad that I didn't get to wear it in Florida this week, but I'll be able to wear it here soon, just as soon as Montana catches up with spring. So here is the bottom of the dress. I'm not sure if you can see. I left it a little long because I plan to wear this with wedge heels. But I really, really love the way that it flows and drapes when you spin. Overall, it's just a beautiful dress and I can't say anything more about it. I absolutely love it and I know that I'll get a lot of wear out of it. So now that you've seen the two finished dresses, let's go ahead and jump into how I put them together.
So I've decided to flatline the pieces that are going to cover the back and the front of the bodice. I've decided to flatline because I don't really want to make them as separate dresses and put them together. I'd rather work with one piece just as this being a fabric on its own with both sides. So this is the back bodice piece. I'm not sure if you can, yeah, you can see all that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and flatline. So I've gone ahead and I'm clipping around all the edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and run just basically like, I'm probably just going to do like a stay stitch. And then I'm going to run it through the serger. So I'm going to do a stay stitch because this stuff is super, super wiggly and kind of squirrely. And I don't want it to get gummed up in my serger and then rip a piece and then I'll have to recut the whole back. So I am going to work on flatlining those pieces and then I'll serge them and I will be back. Okay, so flatlining is done on this piece and I get to do it with two other pieces and then I'll be finished. I did get a couple little areas where the slippery fabric I ended up putting in like, I don't even know if I would call them darts. They're just kind of like little tucks. This whole piece is going to have a huge collar, so I'm not worried about it. Is that lazy? Maybe. I'm not worried about it. You're not going to see it. It's actually, that'll get folded in with the facing anyway, and you'll just have these little two tucks. And they're actually right next to the darts. I tried to keep them about the same distance so that it would look intentional. I did have a little bit of shifting on some areas. I don't know if you can... I don't know if my camera is clear enough for that, but I had a little bit of shifting in some areas. But overall, it seems pretty flat. So what I'm probably going to do is go through and trim any of these areas that were a little goofy. I think I had a little bit over here, but it's not too bad. A little bit of curling, that's pretty normal for this kind of fabric. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do the other two pieces, and then we'll get to doing the darts. Oh, something else I should probably mention. As you can see, I have not done my darts yet. So I like to flatline the pieces together. And like I said, because I'm treating it as one piece of fabric from this point on, now I'll go through and do the darts. And apparently I didn't draw one here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that dart in. And then after I flatline the other pieces, we'll go to town doing darts. Okay, we're in flatlining central right now. These are the two front bodice pieces that I have clipped and ready to go. I'm going to flatline them, and then I will serge them as well. I have already serged the back bodice piece. Yes, I know that my serging thread doesn't match, but that's the color of the cones I had. I have 2 white and 2 blue. So anyway, it'll all be hidden, so I'm not too worried about it. But I've got the bodice done, bodice back done, and then move on to the 2 bodice fronts, and then I will go to darts and putting it all together. I have also finished the waist tie, and I'm ooh, I spilled some tea. I'm very pleased with how this turned out. I decided to top stitch it. Again, I think I mentioned that the original pattern doesn't say to top stitch, but I just prefer the way that looks. And then I've got my points. They are not perfect, but they are beautiful, and I am excited about it. And it is kind of crazy with the lining that I added, just how white it makes the fabric look, because it was, here's another pattern piece. Just a single layer of it is so see-through, but put that lining under it and it is perfectly opaque, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So that is good. I'm excited. Moving along. Okay, everything is flatlined and we are ready. I have pinned all my darts and I am about to have a dart party. Looks like I got 2, 4, 6 total, so we'll get into this.
Okay, so next we're going to attach the back bodice piece to the two bodice front pieces. We're just going to attach them at the front, at the top shoulder seam first, and then we'll do everything else. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sew those across, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, that step is done. These guys are attached at the top here. This hangs off a little bit, and it has to do with the way that the facing goes on later. So I'm just going to go with it. After grading, this is a little bigger than it was on my original version of this dress, so we'll just have to see. But it went in last time despite me thinking that the pattern was wrong, so I'm just going to go with it. So I'm going to go ahead and press these seams open, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I went ahead and I did this. I sewed the front and back pieces to the shoulder seams, and then I did already do the collar. I hemmed it using actually was using my overlocking foot, and it gives it a rolled hem look, which I really like, and it makes the draping on the collar so beautiful. So that is my preferred method there. And I also sewed the two pieces together. I did not record it. I was originally having a little trouble with the fabric on the collar because I did decide to just use this fabric straight up without interfacing or interlining it. So I was very focused on that and forgot to actually film it for you guys. So next what I'm going to move on to is actually attaching the collar to the bodice, which last time I remember this being fun because we put the facing on after you do the collar. So I have to make sure I do the wrong side to the right side, wrong side of the collar to the right side of the fabric, which threw me off the first time I did it too. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will check back in as I put the facings together. Okay, so the facing is sewn together. I went ahead and serged all the edges again once I got them all connected. So that's why there's a little bit of like double serging there. I didn't want to take off too much of the size of the pieces. So that also allows these seams to lay down flat, which kind of bothers me when I'm sewing if these guys aren't serged down flat after I press them. And I always press my edges. It's just a big thing that I'm trying to do recently. My resolution for this New Year is really the only one that I did because I don't usually do resolutions, but I decided that I wanted to slow down and do these little things that would make a big difference in my sewing projects, and I really think that has worked for me in the past few months. So anywho, now that this is all sorted, I'm going to put it into the bodice. I went ahead and sewed the facing in so it goes all the way around into the front edge. And so what I'll do is I'm going to actually press the seam towards, come on, it's hard to do this one-handed. I'm going to press the seam towards the facing so that when I flip it, I won't have to really worry about top stitching, and it'll just naturally lay towards the facing, and then the collar won't be obstructed at all because I did use just this one layer of the flouncy material, and so the interfaced facing should pull away from the collar.
and allow it to have that sort of flowy look. So I'm going to go ahead and press all the seams and turn the edges, press those down as well, and then I think we'll be ready to move on to the skirt piece. Okay, so I have really slacked off on recording the rest of this process, mostly because when working with the skirt, the pieces are so big, they barely fit on my ironing board, which is like 54 inches long, I think. So I've had to do them on the floor, which I've been using a bed sheet to try to keep as much dog hair off of it as possible, which is not always possible in my house. So anywho, I have attached the two back skirt pieces together, as well as, if I can pull it, as well as the front pieces to the back pieces. So right now I've got this up here because I'm going to go ahead and press these seams down. Now once I press the seams down, all I'll need to do is gather the skirt and attach it to the bodice. And once I attach the skirt to the bodice, then it's just going to be finishing. Okay, I went ahead and pressed all the seams down, and then I sewed in 2 layers of gathering stitches. There they are. So this was just the flatlining stitch, and then here are the 2 layers of gathering stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and pull on these and get those gathered so that they fit into the bodice. And once I do that, all I have to do is sew it in.
So I did not end up filming the construction of the skirt for the most part. I just found that with the current filming setup that I have, which is just my phone on a fairly small tripod, I couldn't get the whole skirt in the shot, or my tripod kept falling over. So I apologize, I don't have the skirt on there. But essentially I just took the panels and I did end up flatlining them all together. Again, I just ended up flatlining the whole dang thing. But I flatlined them and then I sewed them all together. It wasn't anything too complicated. I can definitely try to explain it in a little more detail if you guys would like me to. But I just, in the end, I didn't think it was super necessary for the rest to understand the rest of the garment. So I'll try to get better at that in the future. And I'm working on getting a tripod that will actually hold my phone at angles that can fit the entire dress in it. So that's why there's not too many shots of the skirt being put together in this video. But I will definitely try to get better at that for the future. You can find me on Instagram at Sangreena619. I'll put that in the description box below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. I'm going to try to stick to a weekly upload, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I got the fabric and notions for the V9253 pattern, and I'd like to start that here soon, so I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. I decided to go with something kind of summery, spring and summer, since I'll probably be wearing that dress more frequently in the spring and summer. So I got this great 100% rayon from Joann Fabric. It was actually in the clearance section, and I am all about finding fabric in the clearance section because I don't like to spend a lot of money on stuff, at least not the first time I make something. I kind of want to try it out. But I love this aqua, well, it's not really aqua, this teal. It's really bright teal, almost like an electric robin's egg blue. But I really love that. And I actually happen to already have this zipper that's pretty much spot on for the color of the fabric as well. And I got this from a thrift store. I was at my local thrift store, and I think it was like 50 cents. So I'm not complaining about that. And it happened to be an 18-inch zipper, which I think will work just fine for this project. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm going to do my best to have that as a full sew-along pattern because I know a lot of people are interested in making that dress. If you have any questions or recommendations for that video, please leave them below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.